Yo, what is going on YouTube? My name is Josh with American AF Dumpsters here in Dallas. So several years ago, I did a video that was titled, "Watch this before you even start the dumpster rental business." And that's kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit today. But we're going to go a little bit more in depth, and it's going to be obviously several years later and with a little bit more experience. While most of the things in that video still apply today, there's a lot of things that have changed as far as like maybe some companies or something that I may recommend. But also the market has changed, the industry has changed, and we're going to touch a little bit on that today as well, because it may be just a little bit harder to get into this business, or it may cost you a little bit more today than it was 3 or 4 years ago to get into this business. So let's talk about it. All right, so I'm gonna start off a little bit with a reality check, right? I mentioned a minute ago that today's day and age, it might be a little bit more difficult to start a dumpster rental business than it was 3, 4, or 5 years ago when I first started American AF Dumpsters. Doesn't mean it's impossible at all. It just means it's gonna be costing a little bit more. I actually made a video that it was titled 10 reasons why you probably should not start a dumpster rental business. And I'm gonna tag this up here, that once you guys are done watching this video, hopefully you guys go out and watch and pay attention to that a little bit. It's not for everybody. And so that's going to be reality check number 1, that it's not for everybody. This is a very grinding, lots of hours to be put in, lots of hustle that you've got to do, lots of going out and meeting people and shaking hands and trying to garner business, right? That is not for everybody. And so that's going to be one of the first things. Second thing is not easy money. I mean, it's definitely not easy money. For people that say it's easy money, maybe they're trying to sell you something. I don't know, but it's not easy money. It's time consuming. It's a lot of time behind a windshield. It's a lot of time driving up and down from one location to the other. Just because you're putting a dumpster down on the ground is probably 5 to 10% of what you actually do. 80% of the time, you're gonna be driving back and forth and at the landfill, sometimes waiting at the landfill, things like that. So it's not easy money like some people like to make it seem. I definitely try not to make it seem like that in this channel. I want this channel to be as realistic, as real, as raw as possible, which is why I show sometimes a lot of the mistakes that we do, or a lot of the breakdowns, a lot of the tire repairs, or the blowouts, or the employee issues, or the whatever it may be. It's not easy money. And so if you think it's easy money, you might want to move on to something a little bit different. There's also a difference between owning dumpsters and owning a dumpster business. And that's, I really want to make clear in this video, right? Is that just because somebody owns dumpsters doesn't mean that you specifically own a dumpster rental business. Honestly, owning, in my opinion, owning a dumpster business or owning any business is more of like owning a marketing business, not necessarily a dumpster business. This is a service business, don't get me wrong. It's a service-based business. However, you're not going to rent any of these dumpsters unless you find a way to market yourself properly, unless you find a way to market yourself and put yourself in front of customers that are looking for that service at that specific time. That's where the trick lies, is to making sure that your business, your company, your website, your marketing, making sure that your business is in front of a customer when it comes time that they need your business. So it's more of a marketing service than it is a service. So if you can't handle stress, if you can't handle conflict, and if you can't handle regulation, then this might not be the business for you. I do want to start off making it really nice and clear that this is not a get rich quick overnight type of scheme. This is not $1 million, but wait, let me sell you this, and let me tell you there's an ebook here, and then there's a course that you can take there, and all this other stuff. This is not that kind of business. And if somebody's selling you on that, there's enough free content on the internet where you don't have to pay for any of that stuff, right? So just make sure you do your homework, make sure that you're in compliance, because a lot of cities, you may not even be able to do this type of service in those cities. Believe me, watch some of my channel, my videos, well, you'll see that they've impounded our dumpsters, where they've taken our dumpsters and they've charged us. They fined our drivers, because some cities you cannot even place a dumpster in without the certain city regulations or stuff like that. So make sure you do your homework before you go out and you spend all this kind of money on dumpsters and equipment and marketing and all that stuff, and then you realize that it's too late. You already spent all that money, but you can't even place a dumpster in the own city that you live in or want to operate in. Do your homework. And finally, like I said, it's a marketing company. It's also a logistics type of company, which means down the road, you've got to be able to handle logistically how you're going to route your drivers and how you're going to route your trucks, and what's the most efficient way that you can save fuel, time, energy, whatever it may be, that you're saving that stuff instead of just spending time going from one side of the city all the way to another side of the city and just wasting gas time. Because at the end of the day, time is money. Gas is money, and you want to make sure that you can schedule yourself and route yourself the most efficient way possible so that you're not just throwing money away. All right, next we're going to talk about something that everybody always asks about, and it's what type of equipment should you start out with? Should you start out with a trailer or a truck? Should you start off with a cable trailer or a hook lift trailer? or 15-yard dumpsters or 30-yard dumpsters. A lot of people will ask whether or not I should start out with 5 dumpsters, 10 dumpsters, 1 dumpster, a dump trailer versus a cargo trailer. All that stuff, right? We're going to talk about that here in this video right now. I can only talk about my personal experience and what I did to get to where I'm at now at this point in time in my company. I can only talk about things that I've done myself. So I started off with a cargo trailer, and then I went from a cargo trailer to a dump trailer to a roll-off trailer, and then ultimately I went to a Hino Hooklift truck, and then now I've got, you know, a couple of these single axle trucks as well as a couple of tandem axle trucks. So what do I suggest? If I were to do it all over again, I would probably, to be honest with you, have skipped the cargo trailer and the dump trailer, and I probably would have started off with a good roll-off trailer itself, right? Not the dump trailer, but a roll-off trailer, because you can have one trailer, one piece of equipment, and be able to handle 10, 15, 20 different dumpsters with that one piece of equipment. So me personally, if I was to start all over again and I wanted to save a little bit of money, I would definitely, hopefully I already have a pickup truck, and if I did, I would probably get a pickup roll-off trailer with that truck, right? So if I already had a pickup truck that I didn't go out and spend a lot of money for, or even if I went out and bought a used, very inexpensive pickup truck, you'd want to start off, first of all, in my opinion, at minimum with a 3/4 ton truck. Anything bigger than that, you have to get into CDL with a trailer. Anything under that, you're going to be underpowered, right? So a 3/4 ton truck, a 2500, a Dodge Ram 2500, or a Ford F-250 if you're a Ford guy, or a Chevy. Let's not even worry about you Chevy guys. But you want to get a 3/4 ton truck to be able to haul right around a 16K GVWR trailer. So what do I mean by that? With that setup, with those two trucks, right? A 10,000 pound GVWR pickup truck and a 16,000 pound GVWR trailer, that will keep you under CDL in most states unless you're crossing state lines. We did a video on DOT and CDL. We're gonna link that up here as well for you. You're gonna want to check out that video, because that's gonna really determine whether or not you're gonna need a CDL for you personally as a driver, and whether or not your company's gonna need to be DOT compliant and go out and get DOT numbers and make sure that your drivers are all drug tested and the whole nine, right? So that may be overwhelming for some of you. For me, myself, that's overwhelming as well just now, and I already have a DOT number. So I would recommend staying under DOT, under CDL, and keeping with a 3/4 ton truck and trailer. So, but Josh, I have a 1-ton pickup truck dually that can haul anything. Well, then you're going to be over DOT. You're going to have to get a CDL, and you're going to have to, go and pay all that money, real expensive commercial insurance, all that stuff, in order to be able to haul dumpsters. So highly recommend you stick under CDL and under DOT to begin with. There's no exceptions. There's no beating around the bush. If I did not have a truck already in mind, or I did not already own a truck and didn't want to have to spend money on a truck, and I just wanted to go directly into a bigger truck, well, then this is going to be the perfect type of truck that you want to get into. It is a single axle, under 26K GVWR truck. And so with this, you're going to be able to haul 14, 16-foot cans, depending on the length of the hoist that you have in the back, and sometimes even up to 18-foot cans. It's all about where you envision your company going, or you want to always think about whether you're going to scale or not, whether you just want to keep this as a side hustle, 5, 10 cans and that's it, or whether you actually want to scale and go into a bigger and bigger company in the tandems and 30s and 40s and all that stuff, right? I've talked about this on the channel several times. As far as how you build and scale your business really starts with how you grow your business, or how you start out your business, right? Because I've had to reinvent my business several times over and over again, because I started with the wrong equipment. I still bought the wrong equipment because there was really nobody to talk to, or I didn't have YouTube videos at the time to really watch and kind of get any kind of recommendations. I didn't have the dumpster expo to go to once a year to talk to people who have already been in the business, or to listen from vendors who have the experience. I didn't know what I didn't know, so I started off really the wrong, every single step of the way, kind of the wrong way, and I learned the hard way on how to really grow and operate this business. So that's why I'm making this video here, to hopefully help you avoid the same issues and the same problems that I ran into. Where can you buy trucks like these? This is a big question that we get a lot as well, is where can you buy trucks like this? Because you can't just go to your local Ford dealership or your used car dealership down the road and buy this truck. So I highly recommend, there's several companies that I know of that I highly recommend, that I've personally bought from in the past. Number one, and first and foremost, they also sell the dumpsters for all of the American AF dumpsters that you see here are provided by them. Is going to be Keystone Waste Solutions. Keystone Waste Solutions has 2 different locations, one in Rome, Texas, and they have a second location in Ohio. So they can really service most of the country. They can really service most of the country as far as shipping dumpsters out to you directly from their manufacturing plant. They sell trucks as well. So they've gotten into the upfitting game or the upfitting market, so they can build you a under CDL truck, a tandem truck. They can build you basically whatever you need. They can do dumpsters, they can do the flatbeds like you see that one back there. They can do pretty much anything that you need in your roll-off business. Roll-Off Truck World out of South Texas. Those guys have trucks on end. They specialize more in used trucks and new trucks, don't get me wrong, and they also specialize in the cable hoist. They build their own cable hoist in-house. They build their own tarp system, you name it. Roll-Off Truck World down in Houston. There's a couple other companies that have come to the expo that I have either have done business with, or some that I know that I know very well that I would do business with, and I have no problems recommending those guys on this channel. And that's going to be Nero Trucks. They're out of Oklahoma. You're definitely going to want to give them a shout and see what they have in stock. I bought this Kenworth from Ruble Trucks out of Indiana. Ruble Trucks is really, really big. They have a huge operation over there. Definitely give them a call, see what they have in stock. I was able to, where nobody that I knew of in the country had a tandem truck ready to go, Hooklift, and Ruble had it in stock ready to roll. So I was able to make that decision really quick, call the lender, and have the truck picked up by myself within like a few days after I decided I wanted to purchase it. So Ruble Trucks out of Indiana, give them a shout as well. Good guys. I'll put their number down below. So there's plenty of other vendors in the industry that can build you trucks. Just make sure you check them out, see them in person if you can. If you can go out and see them in person, see the trucks, take a tour of their facility, ask in the groups. Don't forget, we got the Dumpster Rentals 101 group that a lot of people are in that group, and a lot of people help each other out. Lots of good information in there. It's free to join. Make sure you join. Don't forget the Facebook group, Dumpster Rentals 101. As far as dumpsters themselves, again, I told you I buy all my dumpsters from Keystone Waste Solutions. I've got a couple other dumpsters from an acquisition. You see that Live Oak dumpster there? We still haven't branded that one. So Keystone Waste Solutions has built all of our American AF red dumpsters that you see, but there's some other ones that I highly recommend, and I will shout them out in this video as well, so that you guys know there's different vendors. I have always highly recommended that when you're looking for a dumpster manufacturer, you kind of want to go somewhere that's close to you. That's highly recommended, because there are some shady companies out there, but that's close to you, so that you're not paying an arm and a leg for shipping, because these things aren't cheap to ship, right? So Keystone Waste Solutions, again, here in Texas. You've got Box Gang down in Houston. I've actually met those guys. Very good company. They provide and they build a quality box and container for you guys if you're looking for a container down in the South Texas market. You've got Evolution Welding that's over in Miami. Those guys, I've seen their containers in person. Their containers, their dumpsters, and their trailers that they build are quality, top notch. So I definitely would recommend them as well. Mac Corporation is out of Indianapolis. They also are highly recommended. I've seen some of their work. It's quality, top notch, and they are a family-owned business, very recommended by a lot of guys that I personally know. So highly recommend those guys. Those are pretty much all the ones that I've personally know of and that I've worked with in the past, or that I've sent guys to that have bought trailers from us. And don't forget, guys, we also sell trailers here. AmericanAFtrailers.com. We have Cougar manufacturing trailers in stock. We have Keystone trailers in stock. We will sell you a Hooklift trailer. Those are all that have to be ordered ahead of time and built custom. You definitely want to check out AmericanAFtrailers.com if you're looking to get into the trailer business and buy a trailer, a roll-off trailer. All right, so we are in the truck and we are delivering this can real quick here in Dallas. A lot of people always ask me, as far as truck or trailer, which one do I recommend? Which one do I think somebody should start out with? And the truth is, a lot of these questions are like preference, right? Your personal preference. A lot of these things are more like the difference between Ford and Chevy at the end of the day, right? You know, what's your personal preference? Truth is, what's more profitable? In my honest opinion, truck and trailer, pickup truck and trailer, are going to be your most profitable. Because when you start getting into these bigger trucks, you're going to have a lot more expenses. One guy operating one trailer and 20 cans himself is going to have better profit margins, in my opinion, than let's say a company who has a lot of overhead. You know, this guy, one guy, single truck and trailer, might not have much overhead. A lot more expensive to operate a truck like this versus pickup truck and trailer. Can you scale with a truck and trailer? 100%. There's nothing against that whatsoever. I've never said that you can't. It just really depends on people's hustle. And then again, cable versus hook lift. I mean, I've answered this question a bunch of times, but let's talk about it. Right now, you see me operating a hook lift. That is my tool of choice. That's again like asking a contractor whether he likes, you know, DeWalt versus Milwaukee. It's a tool of choice. So I went with a hook lift truck. And ever since then, I stuck with hook lifts. And you see why. I mean, the ease, the quickness, the speed of it. Here I am in an alley. We're able to place dumpsters with a hook lift a lot better and a lot faster than the cable guys can. All personal preference. Cable guys will swear up and down that cable's better. Some hook lift guys will swear up and down that hook lift's better. I'm neither one, neither or. I'm just saying, what opportunities present itself to you? Do you have an option? If not, do you prefer speed? Do you prefer, you know, having the same type of equipment like everybody else in your area? If you do, then get your cable. You know, I talked to a buddy of mine who says, hey Josh, don't get the hook lifts because you'll never get compactor work. And I still went hook lift. Now we're gonna head back to the shop. We're interrupting our regularly scheduled programming to bring to you the new trailer, the new inventory here at American AF Trailers. I've got a brand spanking new 2026 Cougar Manufacturing 16K GVWR trailer, 14-foot rails. This thing is a bad boy, let me tell you. So first and foremost, it is standard rail, electric winch, 18-ply tires, electric tarp, remote control, what else? LED lighting, you name it. This bad boy is ready to go. I can sell it as an individual trailer right here by itself, or we can include it in the package deal with dumpsters as well, manufactured from Keystone. No up mark. We don't mark anything up here. What you pay is what you would pay directly from the manufacturer. So absolutely a beast of a trailer. I would highly recommend if you're just getting started into the industry, or if you want an inexpensive backup to your guys' cable trucks. So you've got the tie down T-channel lockers in the back, the rear lockers, but you also have the straps as well for those of you guys who may have other dumpsters that don't have the locking tabs on the dumpsters themselves. Make sure you give us a call. Check us out, www.americanaftrailers.com. But brand of truck, you'll see that I own literally 2 Internationals, 1 Kenworth, and 1 Mack truck. Until Tesla comes out with a semi-truck, I guess it really don't matter. For me, at least. I'm not the kind of guy that says, oh, well, you got to have this kind of engine with that kind of whatever. As long as it's got, I prefer an active PTO, meaning that the transmission does work while you're in drive, although the Mack doesn't have that, and we can deliver dumpsters just fine without the active PTO. So we can make pretty much anything work. What I would suggest, though, if you're going to buy a truck, make sure that there's a quality dealership near you for that brand, because a lot of places, depends on where you're at in the country, but like some brands are more popular up north and other brands are more popular down south, whatever it may be. Dealership near you, if you have a Mack dealership near you, International, whatever it is, look them up online, give them a call, ask them what their protocol is for taking in new trucks, especially if you only have one truck. You only have one truck and your truck goes down, you're shit out of luck. I love my Kenworth. My Kenworth is very comfortable. These other trucks, they're work trucks, right? So they're going to be pretty bouncy, pretty uncomfortable. The Kenworth, I've never even driven a Peterbilt, so I can't give you any of my opinion on that. But I know tons of people that love the Peterbilts. It's probably right up there, if not even better quality than the Kenworth. So let's talk about startup costs, because this is where a lot of people really end up screwing up their numbers, and they underestimate exactly how much they're going to spend when they first start off a dumpster business. First and foremost, we talked about equipment, right? So you're going to need your equipment. You're going to need insurance on that equipment. And so insurance, there's lots of options out there, but you can't just call your local Allstate Farmers Insurance or whatever it is and just say, hey, I started a dumpster business. Can I get insurance? If you have a truck, a pickup truck, and a trailer, that might be a little bit easier, because at the end of the day, your pickup truck insurance, you could just add your trailer on there and get it. You should, and definitely absolutely should get commercial insurance for your company. Once you have a truck insured under your commercial policy, then you'll be able to add a trailer to your commercial policy, and it's very inexpensive to add usually. When you get into the bigger trucks, this is when things start getting a lot more expensive, right? Insurance has gotten really expensive over the years. I would highly recommend you reach out and talk to Toby with Wisdom Insurance. He can get you guys insured. There's a couple other people, but I don't really know of anybody that actually specializes in this industry. So if you have a insurance broker that you already deal with one way in one business or another, you can always reach out to them and say, hey, look, I'm looking to get into the dumpster rental industry, and I would like to get insurance for this dumpster rental. You can't call these companies and get insured with them directly. You have to go through a third-party broker, like an insurance broker like Wisdom Insurance. I can't just give a call to Progressive and say, hey, I want commercial insurance for my dumpster business, right? So you've got to account for your insurance. You've got to account for your marketing. You've got to account for slow times, your fuel costs, your dump fees. A lot of times you're paying dump fees before you even get paid from the customer sometimes. So you got to account for all that stuff. You got to account for breakdowns and blowouts and patch tires and all that stuff. Don't underestimate your startup costs. As far as how much you should charge, one of the main questions I get over the years is, my dump fees are, let's say, $50 a ton. How much should I charge for a 20-yard dumpster? And it's a lot more detailed and involved than just that, right? At the end of the day, it's not just like, this is my dump fee, this is how much a dumpster costs, how much should I charge for a dumpster? So I came up with a calculator to really help answer this question. It's called a DUEM calculator, which is a dumpster unit economics model. And so in this calculator, it specifically breaks down like all your expenses. So you got to plug in there, you know, you got to, it's all based off of what you put in to give out or put out a proper price for you. So you got to put in there your expenses, your rent or your mortgage on your commercial property if you have that, how much your truck payments are, what your dump fees are, what your average ticket prices are. And if you don't have that, you can skip that because you're just starting out. But at least put in there your overhead, what your out-of-pocket all expenses are. And then what it does is it spits out a number. It tells you how much it's actually costing you to rent this dumpster out every single time that you rent it out, right? And then what I did was I went one step further because a buddy of mine said, hey, Josh, I want to see what happens if I add 10 more dumpsters. I want to see what happens if my insurance costs go up 10%. I want to see what happens if my utilization rate goes up by 5%, right? It not only does it give you utilization rate, but it also will tell you your utilization rate jumps up 5 extra percent, or if you buy 10 more dumpsters, this is how much more you can make in profit per month or per year, right? So this model, this calculator, it's still in beta, it's still new, it's not for sale. It's basically, I'm just giving it out. I will have a link down below so that you can use this in your dumpster rental business as well, so that you know when, where, how much to charge for your dumpsters. And, you know, over the years, I've always said, well, you know, work your way backwards, you know, figure out what your expenses are, and then you work your way towards what your profit, what your costs are, your true costs. And then you do is you say, I want to be 30% profitable, 40% profitable, and then you add to it, right? And then there it tells you your price. This is all done on a calculator. It's all done with AI. It'll tell you exactly where you need to be at. It's pretty dummy proof. So check it out. It's called a DUEM calculator. Hopefully it helps you guys out. But remember, it's free. It's got some bugs in it probably, and take it for what it's worth. It's not a replacement of an actual accountant or a bookkeeper or anything like that, but it's a starting point to help you guys figure out where you need to be at. And one last thing about unexpected costs and expenses is unexpected downtime. So you definitely got to account for that, because your downtime is going to be one of your biggest expenses. If you only have one truck and your truck goes out because it needs a new transmission or a new engine and it's down for a month, you're hurting, you're in trouble. So what do? You make sure that you connect and have good relationships and a network, hopefully, with other people that are in your industry that have the same type of equipment you do. That's also why choosing the right equipment is really important, because standard rail means just that, standard. It means that most companies have the same style rails that they can pick up your dumpsters. If you have proprietary rails, proprietary dumpsters, meaning if you go out and buy, like I did, a Lone Star trailer or a PJ trailer, any of those other ones that are proprietary, well, you can only ask for help from guys that have that specific brand trailer. Can it be done? Absolutely, it can be done. Starting a business, owning a business, being successful with non-standard rails and proprietary setups. Is it easy? No. You're already taking a difficult business and making it that much more difficult, right? So in my opinion, I would always suggest standard rail dumpsters. And if you call a company and you ask them, are your dumpsters standard rail? Like if you call Lone Star or Texas Pride and you ask them, are your rails standard? And they tell you, I don't know, that's a big red flag, because they absolutely know. And if they tell you they don't know, guess what? It's because they're not, and they just still want to sell you a trailer. So be careful with that. Marketing in 2026 is a lot different than it was in 2023 and 2020 when I first started as well. Marketing is not that easy anymore. There's so many new things that are coming out. It's not so much anymore as Facebook marketing or Facebook retargeting. If you don't know what that means, look it up. But it's not so much as SEO anymore. And if you don't know what SEO is, well, then you're really kind of starting out, and you really have to look that up. Your website SEO, your website, just having a website doesn't mean you're going to be found. It's like building the best model vehicle car out there, and nobody knows that it's there, nobody knows that it's available. Well, then it's not ever going to sell, right? So you've got to be able to make sure that you market it right. So your website has to be marketed correctly. Your website has to have SEO on it. Search engine optimization has to be optimized to be able to be found on the search engine on Google. And then you've got Google AdWords that you can really go broke by spending so much money on Google Ads. Now, 2025, 2026, 2027, in the future now, well, now that we're a little bit farther advanced, I guess, than we were 3 or 4 years ago when I made the last video, we've got AI, which that's the next search engine. That's the next thing that we have to make sure that we're able to be found on, because you've got ChatGPT and Perplexity and all these other language learning models, or LLMs. They are now recommending certain companies based off your website and based off how much you actually answer in your website, or how much content you actually have in your website that's AI friendly or AI searchable, right? So a lot of people are moving away from now Google and search engines, or Google Chrome or Safari, and they're actually starting to use ChatGPT for their basic searches. And they'll just go right on the ChatGPT. It's like, what's the best dumpster rental company in Waxahachie, Texas? Or I need a dumpster in Waxahachie, Texas. Or I have to do, because they're having normal conversations. This is not just keywords anymore. This is not just dumpster rental Dallas. Or, if you're looking for a dumpster rental in Dallas, you're going to type in Dallas dumpster rental or something like that, just in a search engine. But now, because these language models are so advanced, these AI models, people are having actual physical conversations with them, and they're saying, hey, my water heater broke. I can't fix it. Who should I call? Right? And so then the AI model will be like, okay, well, they're searching the websites as well. And if they're not AI optimized, well, you're never going to be found. In my opinion, 5 years down the road, or even less than that, Google search engines is not going to be anything like it is today. It's going to be a lot different. And so we have to make sure that we're first of all, staying on top of the different trends, the different technology that's out there, so that we can continue to be found when customers are looking for us. When I mentioned earlier about we're a marketing company, not a service-based company, this is exactly what I mean. That you've got to be able to stay on trend. You've got to be able to make sure that you're in front of the customer when they're looking for you. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's time to start doing a little more research. And there's a lot of free content out there. You don't have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to try and get somebody to do this stuff for you. If you have the time, if you know somebody who has the time, if you have a sibling or a child or somebody that is good with computers and they have the time, let's use them to try and help us grow our businesses, right? TikTok is now being used as more of a search engine by a lot of the younger folks. I just found out today that TikTok has a new AI version. So now TikTok is recommending businesses, and it's got its own AI. Stay on top of that kind of stuff, because again, marketing is going to be a lot different in the coming years than it has been forever. AI is kind of really taking over everything. And if you can't be found by the LLMs, by the ChatGPTs that are out there, your business is going to tank. Let's just be honest. So make sure you're found. So let's talk about office stuff, right? So you're starting out your business. We talked a little bit about a website. Definitely some companies I recommend as far as getting a website up and running for you is going to be Magnate. Those guys, Jack and David with Magnate, killer when it comes to building a website quickly. They can now knock out a website probably within a day to 2 days time, as long as they can schedule you in. Okay, so Magnate, top of the line, highly recommend giving them a call. Very, very, very reasonable when it comes to building a website, and they optimize it so that it's SEO friendly. But what they do is they build it in a way so that you can go in there and start doing your SEO. Very important. Second one's going to be Spearcrest, right? Spearcrest has been in business for a while. Ronnie Knuckles, very, very good dude. Give him a ring. Compare the two. My whole thing is make sure that comparing different businesses, see which one works for you and your business and in your personality. Give both those companies a call. I highly recommend them to build your websites and do your SEO and your Google AdWords. You can hire them to manage your AdWords as well. And I'm sure one of them are already working on some AI stuff that they can kind of point you towards. So give them a ring. Make sure you have a Google business page as well. Your Google business page will be your main source of local traffic for the most part, right? Local traffic to your website, local traffic to your phone number to call you. So Google business page is going to be super important, and you got to make sure you're constantly updating it. It's kind of like your company's social media profile on Google itself. It helps you be found. So you're going to want to update it as much as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, it's like your company's social media profile on Google, right? You'll have your phone numbers in there. It's also how you get reviews. Google really pays attention to reviews. So make sure that when you do a service to a customer, if hopefully they had a good time, or you did a good job, you ask them for a review. Nowadays that's nothing uncommon, but you let them know, hey, look, I'm a small business owner. I'm starting out, and I could really use a review on Google from you if you don't mind. If they say no, no big deal, no problem. But if they say yeah, well then, hey, make sure you respond to those Google reviews as well as soon as you possibly can, because Google does read all of that. Responses to reviews are important, and it's even better if you can get them to provide a picture or upload a picture when they're leaving a review, and even use like keywords like, hey, I had a dumpster in Dallas from American AF Dumpsters and they did a great job. That way it's got the keyword of dumpsters, it's got the keyword of Dallas, and it's got the company name in there. So, and then when I respond, thank you so much for leaving a 5-star review. I hope our service was able to help you out with your garage clean out or your home remodeling job in Dallas. Please keep us in mind for future, and just also keep in mind, this is where it's important. I don't even do this, but I need to start doing this, where you say, and keep in mind, we also offer other sizes, 10s, 20s, 30s, and 40s, as well as concrete dumpsters. Not necessarily for the person that left you a review, but for two reasons. One is going to be for any other people that might be reading that response to that review that might want to use your service in the future. And two, so that Google reads it and knows what else you have to offer as well. There's not one business that I have owned over the years. I have now been in business for over 26 years, I believe is what I calculated the other day.
Damn.
I haven't been in business one way or the other for like 26 years now. And let me tell you, there's not one business that I've owned that I didn't have some sort of software that really helped me out to manage my assets, manage my my routes or my dispatching, manage my employees all in one. I really need software. Whether it was a security business, a limousine company that I owned, a indoor soccer facility that we owned, every type of business that I've had has had a software that powers it, right? That manages it. Because if my business were to count on this alone, I would never have been able to stay in business, because I forget all kinds of things. So I need software. This software versus that software. Which one do you choose? Everybody has their recommendations. Everybody wants to say that what they're recommending is the best. And at the end of the day, software is software. They work for you, right? They provide service to you, the business owner. And if each business owner requires something different, right? So what I always say is test out the different softwares that are out there. It's that simple. Test them out. Try it out. If they can't give you a demo, I would skip it. If they require you to meet with them and do a Zoom and pay up front without doing any kind of demo, then maybe that's a software that's not for you. At least that's not a software for me. So what do I recommend? I use in my business, I currently use iCans. iCans is an up-and-coming business, up-and-coming software in this industry. They've been out since 2025, basically. January 1st of 2025 is when I officially launched or started with iCans in my business. And it provides everything from asset inventory to dispatching of my drivers. It provides online booking for customers where they can book a dumpster directly on our website, which is also very important. right? It provides routing for my drivers. I can go in there and I can route my drivers based on their jobs for the following day. And when I say asset inventory, it knows what dumpsters I have available, what dumpsters are out on job sites, all that stuff. Check out iCans, do a demo, and see if it works for you. What else is there out there? Docket is another very, very big player in this industry, and they are very highly recommended by a lot of users, and they're used by a lot of users. Docket used to be one of two major players in this industry. That other player is no longer really relevant. So it's basically between Docket and iCans now. Do a demo with both of those and see which one works best for you. See which one fits your business model and your style. Maybe one has reports that the other one doesn't have, or one has more features than the other one doesn't have. Or maybe you don't want all those features. You just want something bare bones, and the bare bones one is better than whatever it may be. You know what works best for you. And just know that those two are the two companies that I would highly recommend to anybody. And I tell anybody that's watching, anybody that calls me up, I don't tell them anything different. What I tell them is do what works for you. Check them both out. Do a demo. I personally use iCans, but that doesn't mean if iCans wasn't around, I would absolutely use Docket as well. I mean, I can only use one at a time. There's no way I can have two different softwares because then that'll confuse me even more. One software, iCan's good for me. That may or may not be true for you. So do what's best for you. All right, so it's been a long couple of days, and I think I touched on a lot of different things. If I missed anything, I apologize. If I missed any of you companies, it's just a lot to think of and remember all in a couple of days or in front of a camera. But it is what it is. Make sure you put in the comments below if I missed something big that you have a hard time, or something that you need in this industry that that I may not have touched on. I'm sure there's a lot of different things, but I appreciate you guys watching. Do your due diligence. Don't listen to what some guy on the internet says or on YouTube, because we're all just full of it, is what the general consensus is, right? I see all the comments all the time that us YouTubers always make this, and it's this industry saturated, and it's our fault that this industry is so saturated because, you know, everybody's on YouTube, you know, saying that you can make $1 million overnight. So it's always our fault, but whatever. Half of them usually started by watching somebody else, whether it be somebody on the internet or a mentor or somebody who did it in the first place, their parents or whatever it may be. So we all have to start somewhere. It's just the hustlers are the ones that succeed and move forward, and the complainers are the ones that just sit there and complain and sit on the couch all day and want to blame other people for their failures. Don't forget to like, subscribe, smash the notification bell, join the Dumpster Rentals 101 page. We'll see you at the Dumpster Expo hopefully next time.